Hey guys, welcome to Nathan's Car Care. I'm Nathan, and today is the third video in the series how to install a CB radio. And today we are actually going to be installing the radio itself. Last time we went ahead and mounted the antenna and ran the coax wire from the bed into the cab. So today we'll go ahead and mount the radio up, and then after that we just have to mount the speaker and tune it, and then we're done. So should be a pretty good video. And make sure that you remember that there are helpful links on my website, nathanscarcare.com, as well as all the products that I use today. You can go buy them off my Amazon web store that's also there. So go take a look at it, nathanscarcare.com. Well, let's get to it. So what we have to do in order to install this radio is pretty straightforward. All we have to do is run the power and ground leads to the battery, which is what Uniden recommends, so that's what we're going to do. And then we have to figure out a way to mount the radio. I've already picked that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it in the dash itself. In fact, right exactly here. So this is where the cigarette lighter used to be. Let me go and pull this out for you. Alright, so yours will still have that trim piece right inside here that has the cigarette lighter in it. You can go and pop that out. It pops out with tabs, fairly simple. And then on the back of that sill piece, there's a plug that goes to the cigarette lighter. Take that off. Go ahead and leave the harness in there. Don't leave the plug because then it'll be live and it could short. Just leave the harness itself in there. And in fact, at a later point, I'm planning on putting a dual USB hardwiring one right over here. And that's what I'll use that for, so stay tuned for that at a later date. So back to this. What you have to do is there'll be some supports, some plastic supports in here, running up along here and along here. Cut all those out, use a Dremel, use a very sharp knife. The goal is to make it big enough so that you can just fit the radio in there. Now, you don't want it to slide in too easily. In fact, if you look here on the back, I left these 4 tabs because those help hold the radio in place. They don't support the weight, they just kind of keep it from moving up and down ever so slightly. So leave those tabs, cut everything else out. Once that's done, then what I did, I built this aluminum mount, which you saw in the first video. So it's really simple. It's just a piece of 2-inch aluminum. I believe it's 8.5 inches long. And then it has these 2 pieces of 1.5 aluminum. Now, I had these laying around, so I went ahead and used them. You could go ahead and use 2 pieces of 2 inch as well. Wouldn't matter. That way you don't have to buy as many sizes. And then I just riveted these 2 short pieces onto this wide piece. Rivets are really easy. They're extremely useful. If you ever build mounts of any kind like this, rivets are a super easy way to go. They're really strong, and they're much thinner than if you were to put a bolt on there. So they're really the way to go in this situation. You can buy them easily off Amazon. They're really cheap. A manual rivet gun is really cheap, and the rivets themselves are super cheap as well. Even places like Walmart sell rivets, so they're easy to find as well. Go ahead and do yourself a favor and get a rivet gun and pack of rivets. I used 4 here, just 2 on each side. That's all that was needed. And then, of course, I drilled 2 mounting holes here and here. And where this is going is up here behind the dash, and I'll give you a closer shot here soon. This little silver box is your Siriusxm radio module. If your truck does not have that, then you may have to figure out a different mount unless the brackets are already there and it just doesn't have the module in it. But this module is bolted in. It has 4 bolts, 2 in the back and 2 in the front, 1 on each side. And what this is designed is that those bolts can then go through these 2 holes here to hold this in place, and then the radio gets bolted on here. Now, I went ahead and drilled several holes along here and then slotted them because I wasn't exactly sure where the radio was going to go. I knew it was going to be somewhere in that range, but I didn't know exactly where. That just made it a little easier for me, so I didn't have to re-drill holes after I already had it mounted in there. This here was relatively easy, just a couple holes and then like a hacksaw or something to get in there and cut out the material in between. So that's the bracket. So now we can go ahead and install the bracket, and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, so here's that Siriusxm module that I mentioned. This is the bracket right here that holds it, and these are the bolts that I was talking about. So you can see there's one back here, and then there's one here. It's the same on the other side. It's these front ones here that we need to remove. So we'll pull these front ones, one on each side, and then we can put the bracket in between there. Alright, so we're just going to slide this in here. Here goes above those little wires, that wire harness. So I was editing the video and I noticed I was missing some footage. I don't know what happened to it. Probably the camera ate it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the stuff that was missed, but it's not going to be quite as good, but I hope that it'll still make sense. Alright, so this is where I ran the power wires. The dash is right over here. That's where the radio is. You just run them behind the center section of the dash, and then right up here there is a pre-cut hole in the sail material. This is the steering column. Right up above it to the side, there's a pre-cut hole right there. That hole leads around to the other side, which is right here. This is a little grommet that's pre-installed on the F-150. And that is what I ran the wires through on this side. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and use this ground location right here. So I'm just going to solder a bit more wire on to the black wire, run it right here. Alright, so on this side what we're going to do is we are going to connect it right here to this bolt. Okay, so we need to run the speaker wire. Now, the speaker might be a difficult thing to locate. You should know exactly where you want it before you've actually turned the radio on and used it. So it comes with a pretty long wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the wire behind here, connect it to the radio, but I'm not going to mount the speaker itself. That way I can play with it, I can move it around and then determine where I want it. And then I can go back in and hard mount it to where I decide I want it to be. And of course that's going to be up to personal preference, so just find a spot that you prefer best when you're using your radio where you can hear it when you're going down the road. So like, don't have it underneath the passenger side seat because you probably won't hear it going down the road. So we'll go ahead and take the tie off. I'm going to go and have this come out the top right up here because my bezel piece is a little loose already, so that's a great spot for it to come out while I test it. Then on the radio here, just plug it into the EXT SP external speaker. Plug it into there and we are set. Then now you can move it around, play around, see where you like it. I'm thinking I might want it up here on the dash, but I don't know, so I'm going to go and leave it loose. So we want to make sure that all our cables are through: the power, the speaker, and then the antenna cable right here. Now we can go and put our bezel back on. Alright, so at this point you would stop and then take it out and tune it, which will be the next video coming out. However, I will go ahead and show you how it would be installed. Assuming it has already been tuned, you would then just take the antenna wire, plug that in the back, screw it down, and then push it into the bezel there, and as you can see the tabs kind of grab onto it and hold it slightly. So push that through. I'm going to remove that. Alright, so we want to push our wires inside of here. Get the climate control wires out of the way. And then you can just slide it in between the bracket there. And now just take these that came with the radio, and screw it in. You're gonna have to line up the threads on the side. Make sure you don't drop them because they can be hard to reach. I actually lost one of these. Vehicle ate it. It's gonna be hard to get in here with all these wires hanging out. Now, fortunately, I was able to find a little bolt, so I'm just going to put that in on this other side. Alright, so now, what we need to do is we need to do a test fit of this bezel piece, see if we need to scoot this back anymore. For now, we're not going to plug these wires back in. You can just lay them off to the side there. Tuck that one. Alright. Just slide it over. Is it in the position I want it? If it is, then we can go and take this off and reconnect all the clips, and then we're good to go. Alright, there we go. It's in position. It's good and solid. If you have a faceplate, you can just push that on there. That. So now the only thing left that we have to do is mount our microphone. Again, this is going to be personal preference. So what I would do, go ahead and plug the microphone in. Okay, so then you need to find a spot that's convenient for this to go, and yet it's out of the way. Now for me, I'm thinking that's probably going to be right over here. I don't want it to be over here, because then it'll be in the way of my four-wheel drive shifter. So I'm going to go and mount it on this side right here. So we have some hardware that was provided. Alright, so we're going to use these two smaller screws. We're going to need a little drill bit in order to put these in place, so let's go and go grab that. Alright, so the drill bit I'm going to use is a number 39. It's about 0.1 inches. Alright, so now see if we want it right here. Want to make sure we get it good and square. We also want to double check real quick, make sure that the space behind there is actually able to be drilled through. Yep, that'll be all right. So we can put it right here, not have any problems. Mark it there. Alright. Now let's go ahead and put this screw in. Make sure you put the little lock washer that it has. And these are the self-tapping screws, so they should go and make sure you don't over tighten them or you will easily strip it because it is plastic. There we go. And there we go. So that is everything installed. You can turn it on to verify that it works, but do not talk through it until we tune it, or you can destroy your radio. Alright guys, that's pretty much it as far as installing CB radio. Of course, like I said, the speaker itself, I'm going to play around with that, see where I like that best. I'm not sure where that will be. So once I get that figured out, then we'll be done installing fully. The next video and the last video is going to be how to tune the CB radio. That's an extremely important step. Make sure you remember not to don't even think about talking through that radio until you tune it, because if it's not tuned correctly, your radio can be completely destroyed and then you got to go buy a new radio, which is no fun. So stay tuned for that video. If you guys want me to release that video earlier than next Friday, I can go ahead and do that. I do have it already recorded and edited. So if you guys can get this video up to 200 likes, I will release it as soon as it hits that assuming it's not already Friday. So you guys know what to do by now. Hit the like button, share the video with your friends, comment down below, let me know what you thought of it. If you have any suggestions for another series perhaps, anything you want to tell me, let me know in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button, and while you're hitting the subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell icon so you can be sure to be notified of when the next video is released. And don't forget to check out nathanscarcare.com. Like I've said many times before, lots of resources on there. nathanscarcare.com, hit the resource tab, and then I've got a list of the resources for all my different videos. I also have a link to my Amazon web store over there where you can buy all the stuff that we used on this CB radio install, as well as a bunch of other things, tools, parts, all sorts of stuff over there. Go take a look at it. It does help me out when you purchase from there because I get a little bit of a kickback. When you hit the checkout button, you will be taken away from my site. You will go to the standard Amazon site. All it does is it just keeps the list of the items that you selected, and then it gives me a bit of a kickback when you check out with that. So go ahead and go check that out, nathanscarcare.com. And until next time, this is Nathan, signing off.